Hello, Simon and Maureen Forrest here, continuing our trip through the Kimberley region. Join us as we travel from Lake Argyle to the Drysdale River Station. We'll cruise Lake Argyle, taste the local catfish, camp at Questro, swim in the beautiful Gorge, replace the batteries in our camper trailer, feed the archer fish in Chamberlain Gorge and drive the horrendous Columbaroo Road. Day 10, we had a leisurely departure from Kununurra this morning. Did a few small repairs to the vehicle, charged up a few batteries and then fueled up and headed off to Lake Argyle, which is a very short drive. And now we're at the Lake Argyle Caravan Park / Resort, which I have to say had the most amazingly efficient check-in system, paperwork all ready. Told to go and see one of the three blokes across the little walkway, gave him my site number, he said turn left and I'll meet you there. Sure enough, I turned left and he met me at the site. The whole thing was just like clockwork. Now we're sitting down waiting for the bus to take us on to the Lake Argyle Dam evening cruise. I think we're going for a swim, so we've got our bathers on and lots of sun protection. Be back here later on at the drop-off point.
Now I am going to spin the boat around in a minute, so the people on this side won't know. Too big a group that would overeat all the vegetation around where they're living, so it protects their food source. Not actually food. We're trying to control numbers as rats are. Coincidentally, his name is Steve.
The boat anchors and the resident croc knows that it's time for the daily feed. But the croc's not the only resident. The archer fish swim to the side of the boat. They know that they'll get a feed too. This time from the tourists who'll hold pellets, and the fish will squirt streams of water from their mouth that hit the pellets and knock it into the water. Amazingly, the croc never seems interested in eating the archer fish. We leave the croc and his archer fish friends to their own devices and head home across the lake. The most amazing thing about this lake is the vast amount of fresh water it contains, and that water is replenished every year by annual rainfall which falls during the wet season. As the sun starts to set, drinks and nibbles are served and there's time for a dip in the lake. That night we try the local catfish, which by the way is very tasty, and Matzo's beer. More of that when we get to Broome. The next morning we head west and arrive at the famous Gibb River Road sign. We're very excited to get to this point because we think the real adventure starts here. And then the sign to Questro. We drive into Questro and find an unpowered site adjacent to the riverbank. Perfect. The next morning we drive to Gorge Resort and start the walk into the gorge. At the beginning the path is flat and very easy to walk, but we're soon confronted by these boulders and start to wonder whether we've made the right decision. But the scenery is breathtaking and everybody tells us that the gorge itself is beautiful.
That was some hike to get to Gorge. Quite dangerous for us really. One slip, sprains, breaks, but we've made it. I'm not sure how long it's taken us, but it's at least 90 minutes I reckon we've been walking. Maureen did have one little slide. You can see the dirt on the side of her leg there, but all okay. But this is just spectacular.
And the swim is one of those moments we'll remember for a long, long time.
We're about to start the walk out of Gorge. We've been here for about half an hour and it is unbelievably naturally beautiful place.
water was a little bit below freezing point because my body was numb when I was in there, but so lovely after the long, fairly difficult walk at times, nearly turned back, but glad we pushed on.
Yeah, okay. One more look and then we're on our way back to the car park, which is about, for us, 2 hours, I think.
The way we move.
Hang on. Go.
Okay, we did it. We went into Emma Gorge, we came out, we went for a swim, and I'll tell you what, I am buggered, to say it politely.
The camera is shaking because my whole arm is shaking from the exertion of clambering over bloody boulders for the last 4 hours. It's been a great achievement, and Emma Gorge is just unbelievably beautiful, natural scenery at world's best. But it was really, on reflection, way too risky for us. Too much clambering, too much climbing over rocks. It's not really a path at all.
I fell over 4 times.
Hence, we won't be doing any more grade 4 walks on this trip. We're off to the cafe now at the resort to get coffee and water. So, we're exhausted.
Can we move?
Can we move to the car park?
Simon was going to offer the waitress $10 to bring the car to us.
We are exhausted.
Even our beautiful iced coffee has not zipped us back into movement.
We'll be good. We're up and out of again. We've re-watered, nourished.
And we're at Emma Gorge Resort, which is quite delightful.
Okay, pack up, get to the car, back to the campsite, back at El Questro. Well, having returned from Emma Gorge and freshened up, we thought we'd go for a visit to the art gallery at El Questro, and we did. But we're also pretty exhausted, so it's ended up in a little sit down at a wonderful outdoor bar at El Questro.
It's called Swinging Arm Bar, and I've had 2 gins and Simon's had 2 beers, and we're going very well.
Well, it's the 16th of June today, Thursday, so we've been on the road for about 12 days now. We're in El Questro this morning. We had a slow start to the morning because we had a very exhausting day, as you will have seen at Emma Gorge yesterday. We both slept very well. This morning we got up and we went out to Zebedee Springs. When we arrived at the car park, I looked for my camera, and guess what? The camera was back in the camper. So we have some shots that Maureen took on her iPhone, which we'll put into the video. But Zebedee Springs was a very easy walk, a rural path, quite a few people there, and not a lot of space to swim in these beautiful warm springs, but the canopy of palms above you and the gorge just makes for a fantastic setting. Again, just loving the gorges already. We've only been in 2 of them, but they are really good, so we are enjoying them immensely. Came home, cooked bacon and eggs, tidied up, and this afternoon we're going on a boat cruise down Chamberlain Gorge, which I've been told is very, very good. We've just arrived at Chamberlain's Gorge, a couple of kilometres from El Questro homestead, and we're about to board the boat to take a ride down the gorge. Looking forward to it.
This was another good tour. So much information about the flora, the fauna, the history, the geology. If we've learnt one thing travelling both in Australia and internationally, it's if you can, pay for the tour. It adds so much to the experience. The Kimberley, famous for its geology, doesn't let us down on this trip either. The sun setting on the sides of the hills is an amazing view. And then we meet our friends from Lake Argyle, the archerfish. Watch as they shoot streams of water from their mouth to hit the pellets that Maureen's holding, hoping to knock it into the water. This is Friday, and it's Friday evening, and we're sitting in El Questro Park still. Today's been a bit of an unusual day. Driving up the Stewart Highway since we left home, I noticed that each night the battery charge in the camper trailer, which has two 120 amp hour AGM batteries, was a little lower than the previous day, which meant the car wasn't charging to capacity. So, as we lost power in our Questro, I decided to do something about that, and I got a couple of local mates that I met last night to, with their battery testers, test the battery, and the big decision was that the batteries had probably seen their useful life. So, a quick trip into Kununurra, bought two new 120 amp hour AGM batteries, brought them back here, and found a bloke in the park who was happy to install them for me. He was a farmer, so he really knew what he was doing. Batteries are installed, power is reversed to the camper. Happy Simon. Maureen's got some comments to add to it, obviously.
Kununurra is our new Alice Springs, the place to go to get things fixed up. We've been delayed a day, but that's fine because I've managed to do a load of washing, finish reading a book, so I'm happy. Tomorrow we pack up and move on to Ellenbray and Drysdale Station, but beautiful evening again, sitting outside. We'll get cool tonight, but we're listening out for our friendly cow on the bank being chased by the local crocodile. Fun, fun. This day has also given me extra time for my body to recover for our next walk to Mitchell Falls. Hopefully I don't fall as I'm going to Mitchell Falls.
It's Saturday morning. We have left El Questro. We're back on the El Questro Kununurra Mount Barnett intersection. We had the batteries in the camper seem good this morning, good charge level, so that seems to be working okay. But we are about to head west on the Gibb River Road, where we think the real adventure starts. We hope tonight to be at Drysdale River Station, having stopped along the way at, I forget the name of the station, I'll write it in, for the famous scones. But here we go, west on the Gibb River Road. How good's that? We are just west of Home Valley Station, and we've stopped on the brow of a hill which gives you a terrific view back towards what I think is probably southeast. Down in the distance, I think that's the Pentecost River, but the vista is pretty spectacular, as you will see. We're at Ellenbray Station and we've just had scones, jam and cream, and we would have normally had a cup of coffee, but the mango frappe is produced from mangoes that are locally grown. Can you believe that? Here we are in the heart of the Kimberley. I'll show you some scenes of the garden of the station in a minute, but there's obviously lots of water here. In the background you can see part of the ornamental garden. We're sitting on a deck having our scones and frappe, but this is part of the garden behind us, and it's full of tiny little finches. I think they're zebra finches, they're just so busy. But there's the garden, and I'll show you some more of the garden out the front in a minute. The station obviously grows its own vegetables inside that fenced off vermin proof section. And so the people you can see in the shots are travellers travelling along the Gibb River Road. Like us, excuse me, like us, some of them have just pulled in for the scones and the coffee, but others are camping here, so it has accommodation as well. What a beautiful location. And just as we leave, I notice the sign, "Welcome to Ellenbray Station."
Well, today has been a big day. We left El Questro this morning, not quite as early as we would have thought. And not because of my fault. It was about the neighbours who wanted to come and talk to us. We sort of connected with the neighbours a bit, and they wanted to say fond farewells. Anyway, off we went. We went through areas of bitumen, and roadworks because they're putting more bitumen in on the Gibb River Road, and eventually we got to Ellenbray. Gibb River has been quite manageable really. There's not been any significant corrugation, so that's been fine. But then we turned on to the road that took us to Drysdale River.
The Columbaroo Road.
Here you go.
Now the Columbaroo Road is without question the worst road we have ever travelled on in our life, anywhere. We're now, as Maureen said, at Drysdale River Station. We were going to go further on tomorrow morning to the King Edward River Camp, because that's how you get to the Mitchell Falls. But they tell us that the road's even worse. This was a horrendous piece of road today. So we're currently considering whether we fly from here or whether we drive up to King Edward River. At the moment, we're leaning towards, and we have to make the decision tonight to see if we can get a flight tomorrow, because the road is really uncomfortable, and we fear damaging both our vehicle and our camper trailer. And I think we could do, in monetary terms, more damage to the vehicle and the camper than the cost of the flights to the Mitchell Falls, and it would be a much more comfortable trip as well. It would mean that we haven't done that road, so to speak, but that's, I think, minor in the scheme of things when we compare the potential cost of damage against the cost of the flights. Anyway, we'll think about it through the night and wake up tomorrow morning with a plan.
We will still be able to, with that plan, walk up Mitchell Falls and then fly back out. So we're sort of doing exactly what we planned, except for the next bit of driving. So who knows? Just wait and see.
In the next episode, we'll swim in the beautiful Drysdale River and have equally beautiful sunsets in the Drysdale River Caravan Park. Then we'll head off to Manning Gorge, meet one of the Kimberley's great personalities, swim in the Galvin Gorge, and eventually we will be in Broome.